Hello, I'm Diane Birnholz. I was a federal prosecutor in Los Angeles, and today I want to put on the prosecutor hat to talk about the horrific double murder that was committed at Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas 10 days ago on July 26. A married couple, Clinton and Kristen Brink, had just moved from South Dakota to a small town in Arkansas. He was working as a milk delivery driver, and she was working as a nurse. They had three young children. And with summer break winding down, they decided to take two of their kids, two young daughters, ages 7 and 9, out for a weekend hike at the local state park. So around about 2 p.m. that day, they were about a half mile in on a trail, and this family was just ambushed. And suddenly, Clinton was being brutally attacked by a man with a big knife. And obviously shocked, Kristen was desperate to protect her family, so she rushed her two daughters out of harm's way. She did not bring them all the way back to their car because that would have been too far away for her to try to be able to fight this attacker and try to save her husband's life. So she rushed back to the scene, but the knife-wielding man began attacking her as well. And Kristen and Clinton put up the best fight they could, but they were overpowered and murdered by this man with a knife. The killer escaped from the park. And in the wake of this double murder, there was a lot of blood at the crime scene, including the killer's own blood from injuries he sustained as the couple fought back. And because of their mom's heroics and quick thinking, the two girls' lives were spared and they were uninjured. But they were now out in the state park by themselves, having witnessed at least part of this attack. And a hiker came across the two girls on the trail who told the hiker that something had happened to their parents. So the hiker got the girls to safety, then went back and made the horrible discovery. There was no cell service or very spotty cell service there in that park. So the hiker now had to get back out of the trail in order to call 911. And law enforcement now had the difficult task of trying to figure out who had committed what they believed to be a random double murder in broad daylight out on a public trail in a state park. Now, usually when investigating murders, police look for suspects who are in the victim's circle. But however, when a murder, or here a double murder, is random, it could be anyone. So the girls worked with the police and they were able to give a description of the man that they had seen. And plus, tips just began flooding in from the public. Some other hikers had actually seen the killer just minutes before the murders, and they had immediately thought that something seemed off with him because he was dressed all in black, including a dark baseball cap. Apparently, he had fingerless gloves on, and he was carrying a large bag, and it just all seemed wrong to them. They also described him as giving them what they called a death stare. Another hiker had seen him come out of the trail, apparently with blood on his face. And very importantly, at least one witness saw him getting into his car, and they were able to give a description of the vehicle. However, this car's license plate was covered with duct tape. Okay, that is a significant fact I will talk about next time. Now, the investigation was full throttle, and just 4 days after the murder, on July 30, the police had a name. I'll talk about the arrest in my next video.